G'day. Red Bull will fine €50,000 for what some consider to be cheating. But is that actually the case? There was certainly plenty of talk about it at the track today, so let's get into the details. Lando Norris's mechanic puts some gaffer tape on the pit straight wall. Lando uses that gaffer tape to line his car up. So once the cars went off on their formation lap, one of the Red Bull mechanics who'd exited the track tried to get back on. And that's what the team was fined for. Not for trying to pull off the gaffer tape, which apparently was his motive, but for coming back onto the track. So has Red Bull cheated? No, not in any way. What about McLaren? Is it legal, in F1 terms, to put a piece of tape on a wall to allow you to line your car up? Yes. Sky Sports' David Croft has been quite vocal about Red Bull's actions trying to pull that tape off. And obviously, as somebody told me today in the paddock, it's just a bit of shithousery. How much help is that tape to a driver with the start? You have to understand that when those cars get out onto the grid, they are placed on trolleys, wheeled up to the start box, and positioned in the perfect spot. That's when Lando tells his technician where to put that tape. Carlos was saying that some cars is very difficult to position on the grid, and hence something like that might be of help to them. But he also said, hey, I'm not going to provide you with a headline. So how often has Red Bull been successful in pulling this tape off? I asked someone at McLaren who knows, and he said once this year. They've made attempts by all means, and McLaren have gone to some interesting lengths too, even putting underneath the sticker a note so that if they were successful in pulling off the gaffer tape, the note would let them know that they have been outed. I also asked that same McLaren contact whether or not the time it was pulled off, did it affect Lando's start? And they said, no, we have a backup. But certainly in a sport where timing comes down to 1,000th of a second, being a few centimetres back from your ideal starting position may well have an impact. I have no qualms with Lando doing it. I say fair play to him. But with regards Red Bull's actions, they are interesting, aren't they? So is there any chance that this may be outlawed? Well, I had a chat with the FIA today and they said they are meeting shortly and this item will be discussed. So it could end up being against the rules to either put the tape up there initially or take it down if someone else has put it up. I did ask a number of Red Bull crew today whether they could tell me if it was the same person doing this all the time or whether it rotates through the group. They wouldn't comment, obviously, but I did have it from another reliable source that it is different people doing it or having a crack at doing it. Someone else also showed me a way to circumvent that drama of, say, Red Bull pulling off that tape. This piece of tape was put up there, and then using a box cutter, every couple of inches you put a cut across so that if somebody tries to rip the whole thing down top to bottom, they have to do it in sections. And that I thought was quite clever. Still on the subject of those grid boxes, I went out onto the grid today and this floored me. This is the right hand side grid positions and they have two yellow lines, one slightly longer than the other. But on the left hand side, all of them have one line. I asked numerous people in the FIA, couldn't find out the reason why, so I'm now throwing it over to you. Do you know why at this track, and maybe it's every track and perhaps I just haven't noticed, they have two on the right and one on the left? And at this point I should say that if you're looking for some F1 art for your home or office, I'm going to suggest you head across to the shop at kimillman.com and order a print of a picture you've seen of mine, or go to this page and see some amazing mega prints. On another matter, Sky Sports, I think we're pretty lucky to have some of their camera gear today. What happened? Well, they came in through the airport here in Mexico City 2 days ago, and they were hauled up through customs and were told that they'd have to pay $15,000 to bring their gear in. Now, it's not a bond, that's a tax. They weren't going to get it back. There was a lot of back and forth, and despite the fact that they had a carnet, which I have too for my camera gear, and I got stung some money coming in, they weren't able to get their equipment in, so they had to leave it there. It was transferred to the city, and then yesterday, being Wednesday, they had to send a team of people to a city office to negotiate their equipment's release. The $15,000, I believe, came down to $9,000 and eventually came down to $0. So that was positive news for Sky, because I don't know how much of their equipment was involved, but certainly would have affected their telecast if they couldn't get it back or were unable to hire gear to replace it here in Mexico City. Now, if you were wondering whether any of the drivers were wearing one of these today, the answer was no. A couple of years ago, Pierre Gasly wore one in. It was quite fetching and certainly got everybody talking, but there's still 3 more days of this event to go, so perhaps somebody will wear one of those Mexican wrestling mask into the paddock. There is evidence of another driver wearing this exact mask. George Russell making tacos with Alex Albon and having a real laugh. The pair had quite a crowd around them, and good luck to them too. It was a bit of fun. I think, was it last year? Yes, I photographed Valtteri Bottas having a crack at making tacos. And still on the subject of Pierre Gasly, a lovely series of pictures of him having a bit of fun with my lens out on the deck of the Alpine Hospitality Suite. Today I listened to Isaac Hadjar being interviewed on Brazilian TV, and he speaks highly of his father. He has such great respect for his dad, who is a brilliant quantum physicist and who was also his kart mechanic. And still on Isaac, he and Liam Lawson spent some time playing sub-soccer? Kicking a ball in a confined space. And what about Valtteri Bottas? He today came in wearing these Oakley glasses, which are quite magnificent. In fact, you might have seen his video where he actually featured me for a second or so. What's 94?
It's this Bad Bunny collection. It's his number.
Okay, right. Yeah. When I mentioned that to another photographer, he said, go and have a look down at Ferrari and look at the new sign that they've got up outside their garage. And clearly, these glasses are a real issue with teams. If they have a guest with a pair of those glasses in the back of the garage, videoing the back of the car, which is a big no-no, they would be very, very unhappy about it. What's going on under this green patch? It's a vinyl patch, and I actually saw the girls at the hospitality suite with a sheet of them handing them out to people in the team. Well, it's to cover up the Glenfiddich logo. That's because it's outlawed in this country to advertise alcohol in sport. And I noticed that when Fernando Alonso walked in, he also was asked by this fan to sign this. I think this is a Ferrari race suit, is it not? Anyway, he just shook his head and said no, and the person asked again, and once again Fernando said no. I spent a bit of time today talking with Gabriel Bortoletto out on the hospitality deck at Sauber, and just such a lovely guy. And he told me that he's on quite a bit of the promotional signage already around Sao Paulo. He, of course, is from Sao Paulo, and for the first time, he's going to bring his grandmother to a race. All of his other family will be there, but it will be the first time his grandmother has ever seen him race. Was Checo Perez at the track today, or will he be likely to turn up over the next 3 days? No. And no, unless something's happened at the very last second, because I had confirmation that no, not attending the race, certainly doing a lot of work with Cadillac at present. This will be the first year out of the last 10 where he's not been on track. But next year his fans will be over the moon to see him back at the Mexico City track. If you had your Richard Mille watch stolen at the USGP last week in Austin, you'll be very happy to hear this. And somebody pointed this out to me today via a message, so thank you very much. A group of people were accused of stealing luxury watches. Austin police have nabbed an organised crime ring that were targeting wealthy individuals at the track wearing high-end watches. How did they do it? Well, one of the women would fall over and remove the watches when the victim offered a hand to help them back up. At least 2 Richard Mille watches were nabbed. Apparently the woman was also working with a group of men who assaulted the victims while the watches were being removed. It's pretty sad, but great work on the Austin police's part for finding those robbers. I do hope you got your watch back if you were one of those who had it nicked. If you're a real F1 fan, I think you might be very interested in an upcoming promotion I have where you could win one of these Bell Mini helmets, signed by the driver of each of those helmets, Lando Norris, Kimi Antonelli, Lewis Hamilton and Gabriel Bortoletto. How do you win? Well, you'll have to wait for my post on my Instagram page, but it'll certainly be worth entering. And thank you to the circuit too for not only providing great food, but some lovely gifts. Look at this array today. Hey, if you're watching this on release, keep a lookout for the new Tag Heuer watch face. It's on the sign that sits above pit lane. It has a yellow bezel. And going down to the garage of Red Bull, I noticed that Ollie has his new piece of art, a cactus with a sombrero. Now, before I leave you, I'll ask you a favour. Could you please hit the subscribe button if you are unsubscribed? Or at the very least, please like it. And for a whole lot of extra content and merchandise, this is where you need to go. And finally, thanks for watching and stay passionate.